tonight is Charles Finley, and he has for a few years been thought of as one of the more controversial owners of team owners in pro baseball. The recent controversy came up because he sold 3 ball players from Oakland to other teams for a cash value of $3.5 million, and Bowie Kuhn, the baseball commissioner, stepped in and vetoed that sale. And then Charlie Finley, I understand, filed a $10 million lawsuit against the baseball league. It's quite a mess. At any rate, he's a very colorful man, and he's guided the Oakland Athletics to 5 consecutive division championships and 3 consecutive world championships. Would you welcome, please, Charlie O. Finley. Good to have you here, Mr. Finley.
Thanks, John. It's a real pleasure and honor to be with you.
Thank you. I have read more about you in the past few months than I have practically of any of the presidential candidates and politicians. How does it feel to get so much? Well, you've always had press, either pro or con during your years. You handle that well? I mean, can you live with the criticism when the people get on you?
Well, Johnny, sometimes it gets a little rough.
Yeah.
But, you know, you got to grin and bear it. Yeah. In the end, things seem to work out pretty good.
Yeah. Let's talk about you've been fairly innovative in baseball. Before we get into the controversy about what's really going on, you came up with a designated hitter concept.
Designated hitter,
right?
Which I think has added a lot of action, at the same time interest to the game of baseball.
You think baseball kind of fell into traditions, and people are reluctant sometimes to change anything in sports? They want it the way it always was, and they kind of hold to those concepts?
Well, I'm sorry to say, Johnny, especially in baseball, that seems to be the problem that we've had.
Right.
But baseball is still a great game, and all we've got to do is make a few changes in it, and I think it'll be back as the #1 sport of the nation.
Right.
You were mentioning an innovation. One of the things that I'm really proud about is that we started the World Series games on Saturday, game 1 and 2, Saturday and Sunday, and then we play 3 games at night during the week.
Right.
And this way it enables everyone, especially today's children, who incidentally are tomorrow's baseball fans, where they'll be able to see the games, all the World Series games.
This was your idea, because originally they started like in the middle of the week sometime, did they not?
That's exactly right. Yes, I worked on this for about 10 years before I was able to get it to pass through baseball.
Now, why would they fight you on that? That seems like a logical, constructive move. Why would they say we don't want to do that?
John, to me, that's very easy for me to answer in one word: stupidity.
He said, choosing his words carefully. In other words, you think they just get locked into old-fashioned ideas and don't want to make a change just for the sake of saying, this is the way it was and this is the way it's going to be?
Unfortunately, Johnny, that's been the trend. And I'm most hopeful that they'll wake up and start making some changes that is going to be good for baseball.
Now, we just said a little briefly before the show, and you showed me something that I know you're trying to get into baseball. And when you see this, the baseball purists will probably go, my God, what is it? Now, if you have a color television set, this is a bright orange baseball. And, of course, in baseball, the baseballs have been white ever since baseball came into being, and you would like to change that.
I sure would.
Why? And what?
Well, Johnny, with an alert orange baseball, #1, you got to think about the fans. This will enable the fans to follow the flight of the ball much easier than a white ball.
Right.
And #2, the hitters, they can see that ball coming out of that pitcher's white uniform an awful lot easier.
Yeah.
And it's going to enable the hitters to improve on their batting averages. It's going to put more action into the games, and the fans are going to like it very much. But the pitchers, they despise the ball.
Why do they like it?
Well, because you just take this ball here, and then, I toss it out in the audience. Look at somebody catch that. Look at it, caught it without dropping it.
Because it's, in other words, optically, it's easier to see.
Yes, it is.
I think you get the feeling, well, I'm sure it's one of your comments about baseball, is you figure that it's kind of stacked against the batter.
Yes, it is, John. You take football, you go to a football game, you see 11 players against 11.
Right.
You go to a basketball game, there's 5 against 5. Hockey games, 6 against 6.
Right.
You go to a baseball game, there's 9 against 1. There's 9 players out there on that field, and there's one fella comes up to the plate with a little stick in his hand, and the 9 guys gang up on him. You know?
Isn't that the idea of the game? I mean, never looked at it that way. So you think by the introduction of this ball, that'll kind of equalize it a little bit?
Well, what I'd like to see baseball do is to balance the defense with the offense. Mm-hmm. And this is one way that's one way that would help balance the offense with the defense. Another thing,
I remember when tennis went from the white tennis ball to the yellow tennis ball, and now the yellow tennis ball is almost universally used because optically it is easier to see than a white tennis ball. That's
very true. And another thing, John, that I'd like to see baseball adopt is ball 3 and strike 3. And do away with the ball 4. And briefly, I'd just like to tell you this, that when professional baseball first started, it started out with 9 balls and 5 strikes.
Are you serious? No, that is no.
Yeah, that was in 1878. And
well, the pitcher must have been out there all day.
Well, they were. And as a matter of fact, in 1886, by 1886, they gradually reduced it down to 4 balls and 3 strikes. Now, that's 90 years ago. There's nothing been done at all on balls and strikes in those 90 years.
So you'd like to see 3 balls?
I'd like to see 3 balls and 3 strikes. This will speed the game up, and it will force the pitcher to come in throwing strikes instead of wasting pitches once he gets a hitter in the hole.
What do you think about passing somebody or walking somebody with a 4, where the catcher moves out and they just throw 4 balls to put him on first?
I think that's the stupidest thing that baseball does, is, you know, throw the ball.
You're going to put him on. Do they keep that in because they think that possibly the batter might jump out and slug it?
That's what they think. You know?
But it's never done, is it?
Well, maybe once in 100,000 times. You know, I think that if you're going to walk a player, just put a signal up and send that ball right down to first base.
Let me take a break here, and we'll come back and follow up on this. Stay right where you are.
Drug and alcohol abuse is about chasing that first